So thank you so much for joining today's webinar. I hope everyone's staying safe and healthy. And today we're going to be going over the challenges customer experience teams may be facing, and also more importantly, examples of how you can improve sales conversion and retain more customers, especially during these uncertain times. So a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. So if you have any questions that you want to ask us, you can submit it through the Q&A box, which should be right down there. And if you want to interact with the panelists or with other attendees, feel free to use the chat room. We want this session to be as interactive as possible and obviously provide value to you for you being on here with us today. And lastly, we'll be sharing the recordings after this webinar with everyone who has registered. So if you've missed something, don't worry. We'll send you a recording, and you can always reach out to us as well. Cool. So by way of introduction, my name is Jennifer Chang. I am Partner Marketing Manager here at Trade.io. I will be moderating the webinar today, and I'm thrilled to be joined by Rose Serafini from Zendesk. Hi, Rose. And Sara Thurman, my wonderful colleague at Trade.io. So a little bit about them. Rose Serafini is a solutions architect on the startups team at Zendesk, which offers 6 months of Zendesk products for free for qualifying startups. So she came to Zendesk through the acquisition of Base CRM. So in her time at Zendesk, she's helped a lot of customers, Zendesk Sell customers, implement automation workflows that ultimately help them to be more efficient. So Rose will walk us through automation strategies she's implemented, and also what are some key results there as well. And Sarah's previously at Segment, and she worked across CS, product, and engineering organizations. Her favorite part about working in customer success is the opportunity to work directly with customers and make sure their needs are met. So we're grateful for people like Sarah, who's helping us just help customers do better with their tools. So today, Sarah will discuss the automation her team has been leveraging to provide higher quality support to not only maintain, but more importantly, to improve retention. So that is our speakers for today. And onto the topics that we're going to be covering today. So we'll start off with a brief overview of the challenges we're seeing in the market. After that, we'll dive into specific tactics on how Zendesk Sell customers have been tackling these new challenges. And then finally, we'll cover how customer success has changed and share some actionable tips that we've implemented at Trey that could potentially help with what you're doing as well. And also keep in mind throughout the webinar, please feel free to chat questions. We'd love to hear from you. We do want to make this as interactive as possible. So it's just a more lively session than us just presenting slides. So definitely chime in on any insights you have or experiences or challenges that you want to talk about later in the Q&A as well. We'll save ample time for that too. Cool. So on to current challenges. I know a lot of these are already known to everyone here on the call. You know, since the pandemic, things have definitely changed. And recently, Zendesk put out a really insightful benchmark report on the state of customer experience. I highly recommend you check it out. And in the report, it really summarizes it well. You know, customer experience teams are having to rapidly adapt to increase in ticket numbers, customer cancellations, market volatility in general, and also just increased in uncertainty as well. So today, you know, a lot of our talks will be anchored to, you know, budgets are either reduced or is in limbo state. It can be reallocated. It's more fluid. And then the nature of sales and customer support have also changed. Your approach, your tone, your response time, every aspect needs to be readjusted. So combining the first 2 points, results into the need to do more with less. You have all these tools and all these data. How do you use them efficiently? And is that with the help of integration or automation? Possibly, but are there other things you could also be doing? So we'll definitely try to cover all of those today. So more specifically, diving into the selling environment today. So sales messaging around efficiency and productivity is what we have found to resonate more with the buyers. You know, companies that are less focused on rapid growth because of the market contractions. As an example, venture funding's down 17% quarter over quarter. So people are more cautious about what they spend on. But at the same time, prospects are still making purchases. However, they're purchasing for very different reasons. So sales can still happen when prospects see an immediate value in the purchases that they make versus the opportunity cost of not having the tool. So if your tool can provide immediate value, buyers will make the decision fast. And we've definitely seen that in some of the fast deal cycles, like 2-day deal cycles we've had at Trade.io. So I think providing immediate value has been a strong focus point for us. So to effectively achieve both 1 and 2, sales teams essentially need to have the right data. They need to personalize their sales approach to identify and match to the customer and prospect needs. So I'm gonna take a pause here, and I'm gonna invite Rose to jump in here and share some tactics that she's helped customers implement and automation just to improve conversions by being more efficient. So Rose, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you, Jennifer. So today I'm going to talk about a couple customers that I've done some trade work for. This first one is Revolusun, and they're a solar company based out of Hawaii. This workflow auto schedule follow-up meetings uses our Zendesk Sell Firehose API, triggering on appointment creation or updates on a sell deal, and it invites the sales rep to the account, so they automatically are made aware of the appointment. It pulls address and job information from the sell deal for the build teams when they're on the road. Before this solution was built out, it was a manual effort for the schedulers to notify reps and ensure their build teams were in the right place at the right time. So this workflow really increases the time saving, transparency, and the accuracy of the data. No longer are build teams driving to the wrong location just because of a small error on that appointment. That's awesome. Then we do have another workflow that we built out for Revolusun as well. Another time saver here. This one is project spend visibility. So sales reps are often asked by their customers for an invoice containing what they've paid for their solar project thus far, especially now in these times when everyone is extremely cost and spend sensitive. Previously, the sales rep would have to then contact the accounting team, and based on their workload, which I'm sure they had some other very important things to work on, they would have to wait a day or so for this information. Now they simply select a button within the deal in Sell, and the workflow we've built out, it captures all the relevant information and pushes it into a Google Doc template. It then converts that to a PDF, it saves it in a drive, and it automatically sends that email out to the customer who's requested their invoice.
That's awesome. And I'm sure like this particular use case could really resonate well with our sales ops and marketing ops professionals on the line today. Manual work is just so dreadful. We would all be wishing we were doing more exciting work than just to copy and paste data into different fields. So in this case, Rose, was it about like an hour manual work saved roughly for each of the new customers they onboard?
Yeah, exactly. Revolusun said that just over 45 minutes they're saving on each new customer. And not only that, no more fat fingers, right? There's accuracy in everything they're receiving. So both the customer and the sales rep and schedulers can be confident in the data that's being put out.
That's awesome. Yeah, and if anyone's interested to see like how it actually looks from a workflow perspective, we have a lot of great short videos, 2-minute videos that is online, and we'll share that later in the chat room as well. So awesome. And then Rose, I know you have another exciting one, probably your favorite one, right?
Yes, it definitely is. So this next one, we built a workflow for a customer called Wizards of the Coast. I didn't know exactly who they were, but I did know what they did. So if people have heard of, Dungeons and Dragons or Magic the Gathering, I didn't know there were actual wizards behind them, but that's what Wizards of the Coast does. So they have an internal database that tracks customer sales and events metrics. And their customers gain and maintain certain seller tiers based on the amount that they're selling and the events that they're hosting. So a wizard sales rep requires visibility into these metrics every time they're talking to this customer. And typically without this integration, they would have to pull these reports from their internal database, but now they're able to go into that customer record within Cell and have all of that information up to date, pulled from an Amazon S3 bucket, and they're able to enter their conversations with their customers with accuracy and understanding of where their customers are at. And just a quick little shout out here. I also want to shout out to Austin at Trey, who has been a huge help to me, along with Jacob, who's internal, and really kind of led the charge for Trey at Zendesk. So I'm very thankful for both of them.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think just for those who aren't as technical on the call, like usually, like theoretically, you can connect your SQL database directly to your CRM like Zendesk Cell, right? However, it's unstructured, so it takes more time and more dev resources to do that directly. Is that right, Rose?
Yeah, absolutely. So it really, we have an internal professional services team, and connection directly with database can get extremely costly. But not only that, with our professional services team, when things change, and they do processes, even field names, things typically go to a change order to get our developers to then prioritize that work and complete it. But with Trey, someone could simply go into a workflow and make that change in a matter of minutes. And it really speaks to the flexibility of the workflows and the processes you're building out within it.
Got it. And I think that's pretty important given current times, like the changes are happening from a company level, but just from, your day-to-day life. It might be changing like from day to day, if not week to week. So having that flexibility to just make changes to your lead routing, to your owners is pretty important in this case. So yeah, definitely sales ops people, if you're on the line, hopefully that resonates with you well in terms of how you can potentially structure your data sync there. Cool. And Christina, I see you on the chat. Cool. I'll have to start on those games. I haven't played them before, but really excited.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rose. Now I'm going to take a quick pivot to customer success today. So just looking at the macro level on what's going on today, and then would love to have Sara chime in as well. So after the sales team closes the deal, now the account is then moved into the care of customer success managers teams. And in this moment of time, I think retention is a critical KPI that everyone is looking at. And research has shown that the cost of acquiring a new customer is 7 times more than the cost of retaining your existing customers. So going back to the budget, to the limited spend, like that's a main reason why we are hyper-focused on retention, and I know a lot of our peers are as well. So at the same time, customer churn is higher just given budget concerns, like spendings are being cut. So with the two, like making sure customer account data are synced to the right team for them to action on customer support or to resolve a ticket is really important, and especially when ticket volume is increasing. I read from the Zendesk report that there's been about 21% increase in the number of tickets submitted in North America in the past 3 months compared to the years prior. So we're definitely keeping our customer success teams very busy. So we, on the marketing ops and sales ops, like we have to think about how do we best provide support to the team so that they have the information that they need to provide excellent service. So Sarah, as a customer success leader, are these 3 bullets in line with what you're seeing? And what are some challenges or just key focus areas that you're asking your teams to focus in on?
Yeah, these definitely align with what we're seeing at Trey and the concerns and challenges we face. One of the big things that we really want to do is shorten that time to value to make sure that both new customers coming in can get up and using Trey as soon as possible, but that existing customers, as they increase their use cases and want to change things, that they can do that as quickly as possible. I'd say the other part there too is making sure that as many people at their companies see the value of Trey or whatever business it is you're in, so that you end up with a lot of people really understanding like that opportunity cost versus just seeing what came out of the budget.
That's a really good point, just like the product stickiness and having multiple touch points and contacts in the company.
Exactly.
Awesome. And yeah, audience, awesome leaders in the on the call right now. If you want to Slack chat in your challenges you're facing or things that you're focusing on, like please do share with us. Like we're always looking to learn from one another, and we'll have time later to discuss as well some areas of focus that everyone is trying to zone in on. So while the chat does that, Sarah, I know you have some pretty cool examples of what Trey is doing on our team to achieve that retention goal.
Yeah, been excited to talk about this. I've talked about it with a few customers one-on-one actually, so I'm glad to be able to chat more broadly. But our primary use case and workflow that we have helps to not only enable sales, but really help sales deals empower post-sales. So high level, we have a workflow that populates the history of a sales cycle into Zendesk support so that as each ticket comes in, we have details on who this customer spoke to, when, how long they've been a customer, upcoming renewals. And we also populate some information about that individual customer. So what is their account that they're associated with? We make sure to CC the relevant people from our side. So customer success manager, AE, solutions architects, if we have one for that customer, et cetera. So that means that when our sales team closes a deal and then the customer writes in for some assistance, we get all this great context and details loaded into the support instance. We don't have to go back to the CRM or try and hunt to find who do we go talk to if we need some more information. That means we're better prepared as a CS team right off the bat. We have shorter kickoff periods, and again, shrinking that time to value. That means happier customers who are more likely to stick around.
That's awesome. And I've definitely heard from your team how they said, there's so many tickets coming in, customer requests, and things are so critical right now to just make sure customers are happy. So having that full context, they've definitely found that to be super helpful, and they feel prepared and confident to provide a good level of support as well with the specific SLAs as well. So that's really great to hear. Great. So thank you for sharing that. And again, for our attendees, like we have a lot of materials that we can share after the call, or if you want to like raise hand or Q&A into the chat to us to let us know you'd like to see more demos on that specific workflow, we can definitely share that as well. Great, so that brings us to just summarizing what we've heard so far. So we've seen some really cool use cases on how sales and customer support teams are really taking control of their most important data and just get extremely efficient, which is what we really need at this time. So speed is more important than ever, but also quality is important as well. So with all of that, the key is to get smarter with how you leverage your data, how you take control of it by putting it to work for you. And oftentimes it is with the help of automation, just connecting the dots, moving data from one team to another, from one system to another. And of course, with some of the best in breed applications and tools you might be using for your support, for CRM. For us, we use Zendesk Support, so we have a lot of great use cases on that as well. So with that, we are now at our Q&A section. So we definitely want to save time for this. So if you have questions, please chat it or Q&A to us. We love to hear from you. I see a lot of Wizard of Coast fans in the chat that are chatting us. This is great. Awesome. Yeah, so as you think about the questions, feel free to chat it in. I've actually heard a few. Let's see, cool. So Rose, like as you're working with your customers, like are there some common challenges that you see across these customer accounts, either like what they've done prior to automation or just other things that you're seeing given what's going on in the ecosystem right now?
Yeah, I think that, as you said, things are changing. And when you're putting something into a middleware, you're thinking about the rules that contain the process. And if those rules are changing frequently, or there's just many different exceptions to the rules, it may be difficult to effectively outline the requirements and then build them on top of Tray. But fortunately, you know, working through multiple different discovery sessions, really understanding the purpose of each workflow and how it's meant to help, whether it's support reps or salespeople, and understanding how it's helping them. That's really what should lead the discussion surrounding any rules around workflows, in my opinion. But like I said, the best thing about Tray is that it's flexible. So if those change, it's really no problem.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And we just received a Q&A. It's from Anonymous. Could you share how Tray actually works and what it takes to build a workflow? It seems pretty cool, but I want to get a better sense. Yeah, totally makes sense. You can actually go on to our Get a Demo page, and then I'll chat it. I keep saying Slack because I'm so used to Slack, but I will chat it in the chat room. So if anyone's interested, you can certainly get on there. There's a few different tracks you can pick your demo experience. So you can either watch recordings, you can join our live weekly demo, or you can, if you're ready, you can certainly get paired up with one of our automation experts to just do a deeper dive. So yeah, so we'll definitely send that out.
Jennifer, so Jacob, who works with me on Tray, he likes to call Tray basically adult Legos, and adults can absolutely play with Legos, but that's how I like to think about it too. I think it's extremely fun to build out workflows. So hopefully, whoever asked that question can see so in the demo.
That's awesome. And I got another follow-up question is, could you share that now, given that we're all here? I would love to, but my screens are kind of set up in a way where it's like space control, so it's a little hard for me to shift around, but we'll definitely get to you. And if you do want to share with us your contact info, we can definitely do more of a custom follow-up. But we'll also share the link to the demo page, so you can get to know us first before deciding to chat with us. Cool, awesome. Great. So Sarah, here's a question for you. So are there other tools that you're leveraging on your team or tools that has been helping you and your team hit those retention goals? in terms of like maybe team collaboration or cross-functional work?
Yeah, one of the biggest ones, probably not surprising, is Slack, which we've been using even more now that everyone's remote. But in addition to all the context and notifications that are put into Zendesk, we have a dedicated channel where we also funnel all that information so that we can ping those relevant people. So again, CSM, AE, et cetera, there, since people might be on Slack more than email. So we just want to make it as accessible as possible, given people's different preferences and modes of communication, to be able to stay up to date and chime in. So that's a big one. We do have some wish list items that we haven't built out yet, but are on our more prioritized backlog. So things like more integrations between our CRM and Zendesk, also CSM tool and Zendesk, so that we can have we're always pulling in the best, most recent, and most relevant information into Zendesk directly, so that, as I stated before, that we can have all the context we need to move as quickly as possible.
That's awesome. Yeah, and we just got a great question through the chat room from Laralyn. This is a great question, and it's something that's super top of mind for us. We actually have another webinar coming up next week that will dive deeper into this topic, but I do want to ask the speakers today to see if they have perspectives on this as well. So Laralyn asks, can you talk about success and challenges of CS working with product management to deliver enhancements directly geared towards customer retention? So I think just on the collaboration between CS and product management. Sarah, do you want to take that first?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, and actually for a little bit of extra context, Trey's product team is based out of London. So being connected in these multiple ways is even more important than if we were in the same time zone. So I think it's, not to be cliche, but it really does come down to just open communication and sharing the right bits of information. There's always this fire hose that can come at you in terms of like what's relevant to share, what's important to you versus me. So the first bit of communicating to understand what's important to each party, like what does product need to know to get something prioritized, and what do we need to know to communicate back to the customer, and then setting up systems, whether it's manual processes sometimes, but automated as much as possible, to share that information so that everyone has exactly what they need to make the next actionable step as quickly as possible.
Great. And just like following up on what are some metrics, or what are some bits of information that you're seeing product management desiring to know more than compared to before, if there is a change in what they're looking for or what's been helpful for them?
I think there's an even more it's even more important than ever to know like how many customers will really be impacted by this update. How meaningful is this going to be? Is it a nice to have? Is it a critical to have? Those things were already important, but in terms of making sure that we are being as focused as possible with our time and budget as well, that's a big one. Also knowing not just the raw number, but like in terms of pipeline that this will open up. Are any deals being blocked on this, and how much potential ARR is behind those deals?
Got it.
So
Very cool.
again, already important, but even more critical now.
Yeah. Rose, are there specific things that you're seeing in terms of the cross collaboration?
I think Sarah spoke to it very well. I think that I saw another question here that I think I'm better suited to answer.
Okay, go ahead.
Not to.
Can you let us know what the question is? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's what's the best way for an org to scope internally what we could be automating with Trey, sales, marketing, etc. So being a solution architect, that was my job to scope these projects. So I figured I should speak on the things that I know a little bit more about and leave Sarah for the expert opinion. So for me, I think what's really important, and one of the things I think about most when scoping tray workflows, is who is it actually benefiting and what do they need? It may be a little bit different internally, but typically when I'm talking with a technical point of contact who maybe will be managing the workflows ongoing, they may not know exactly what that salesperson needs in order to sell. So talking to the end users, I think, is very important. And from there, basically outlining pain points. What are the issues that you're having? What is taking too much time? How many manual actions are you taking? And how can we alleviate some of those? And just really breaking it down from those pain points to a lower level, maybe a field mapping document to keep track of basically the information across systems and how they connect, and really digging in and going from there. Trey, you will need to read a couple articles and the documents to get used to it. But once you do, I think a lot of trial and error to start is great, playing around and just being sure that you have those rules aligned so that you can then actualize them within Trey.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for that, Rose and Micah, for the great question. Just adding on to that, Trey is a platform that has so many possibilities, like different teams can use it. A great way to just get some thought starters on how sales and marketing can use it, definitely refer to our Trade.io solutions website, where we've outlined some key projects that teams have tackled and the results that they've driven as well. And then to the, reading a few articles to get started, we actually launched a Trade Academy, which is a really great self-service resource that is aimed to help builders just get building much quicker. That is our way to get time to value faster for our customers as well during this time. So I think just as a whole, when you're evaluating tools, Rose definitely hit on the main scoping criteria that you need to do before you decide to, bring on a new tool. Awesome, great. We have a question from Robert. Do you have use cases for account-based support? We need visibility when one of our accounts is running into a ton of issues. Yeah, I have some responses there, but I want to leave it to Sarah first to see if she's seen like firsthand what has been done to do that. Sarah, do you want to respond to that question?
Yeah, so that's definitely something that Trey is well suited for. The specific ways you go about and do that is kind of up to the specific setup you'd have, whether that's something you want to flag. You could use a tag in Zendesk support on the ticket or the account, if you want to feed that back into your CRM or CSM, and then send out a notification to whoever it is, put another note in the support ticket. But yeah, it's I don't have a specific public use case unless Jennifer, we have one, but I can say that is definitely something like we care about, other customers care about, definitely something we can speak to in detail as your specific use case dictates. Always happy to have follow-up conversations too.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, Robert, we'll definitely follow up and possibly connect you with Sarah as well, just to dive deeper into some of the use cases that we've been using to help us prioritize. And we do have a great use case on Zendesk's customer blog as well, on how outreach actually uses both of our tools to help prioritize and just bring down their SLA as well. Cool, thank you. Awesome. Cool. Those are great questions. Thank you everyone for chiming in. It's been great just seeing everyone thinking about their use cases and ways that they can sort of improve their processes. So yeah, feel free to chat into the chat. We have a few more minutes. As you do that, I have sort of my final question to Sarah and Rose. Of everything that's going on, what's like the silver lining to all this for you or for your team? Is it that you've like kind of become more efficient than ever with this push? Like what is something that's, you know, a positive outlook? Rose, we can start with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Zendesk has really, really been taking great care of us, and I feel so grateful and thankful to work here. One of the things that we're trying out is no internal meetings Wednesday, and it's to give us time to really focus in on the projects we're working on that maybe can get disrupted by, you know, Slack or email or Zoom, etc. So it is Wednesday. This is an external meeting, so this is allowed. But after this, I'm going to be having a couple power hours with my team where we meet up at the beginning, we set an objective, and by the end of it, we talk about whether we were able to accomplish that, and if not, why. But just really optimizing how we work and thinking about work in a different way, I think has been one of the best benefits of this for me.
That's awesome. And Sarah?
Yeah, I think well, actually, to echo, I'm glad Zendesk is taking such good care of their people. Not at all surprising for such a great company. Same for Trey. I'm so grateful to work here. So grateful for our colleagues and our founders. Yeah, it is a great place to work. I think one of the silver linings that I'm seeing is like we take more opportunities to dig into what everyone is doing, because you can't just have the one-off chat in the office. Everyone's, again, remote, so you have to reach out a little more. And so because there's a little less visibility just naturally, it means we have to dig in more. And I think as a result, I know I feel more up to date on what different folks, even across the org, are doing than I was normally. So yeah, an unexpected silver lining there.
Yeah, that's a great call out. I feel like I'm in people's business more now. I'm like jumping into different Slack channels, checking out what people are talking about in a way just to have a better pulse on the business and also just be more connected in general with the entire team as well. Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Giovanni, for the kind comment. That's really nice of you. Cool. So thank you both so much. That brings us to the end of our webinar. Everyone on the line, feel free to connect with Rose and Sarah on LinkedIn. Stay connected. I think one of the bigger values that come out of these webinars is to stay connected with the speakers and, you know, just share ideas and just solve together. So if you're interested to learn more, you can definitely check out trade.io/blog for more ideas, or you can visit trade.io/demo to take a deeper look into our platform and see if it's something that can help you to improve your conversions, to improve engagements, and ultimately improve retention as well. So we'll be sending everyone that joined live a $15 gift card for Uber Eats, just a nice little treat for the day to get through the week. So you should see that coming to your inbox in about 2 days or so. Give us a few days to process it, but we will be sure to get this to you. And I just want to say thank you so much to Rose and Sarah for your time. Thank you everyone for joining. This webinar is co-hosted by Trade.io and Zendesk, and we have so many wonderful partners that we work with, so definitely keep in touch. And I also want to thank my colleague Sander, who's been pretty active in the chat, who has helped put this together. So thank you, everyone. Good luck with the rest of your day. I wish you all a very productive day, or take a break. No internal meeting Wednesdays, right? So you can pick that up as well. But thank you so much. And I hope to see you next week at our next webinar or future events as well. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.